Welcome back to Kings of Columbus on the podcast. Doug Lesmerises and Bill Landis. And Landis, we're getting loose. It's game week, and we're not doing game stuff. We are doing a rapid-fire speed draft of 90 Ohio State players of the last decade. You and I are each building a two-deep, and we're each taking one punter. And we'll talk about why we're taking one punter. But we're doing this because, I don't know, I'm done. I don't want to talk about anything else. We talked about everything, right?
Yeah. No, I think this is a nice way to break up a lot of like repeating ourselves, I think, by this point of the off season. Like, we're ready for a game, ready to analyze the game. We're going to do that, by the way, Saturday live after the game, which we're very much looking forward to right here on the podcast feed. But yeah, let's talk about something else and have some fun, because there's only so much analyzing and psychoanalyzing of Ohio State that we can do.
So it's not nonsense because it's football, but it is fun. So it's going to be, the reason we're doing this, we're starting with the 2014 season, which is the first season that Bill and I covered Ohio State together. It was your first year on the beat at Cleveland.com. Ari Wasserman and I picked you up in a Walmart parking lot.
Yep.
And what did we do? We drove to Baltimore? Is that right?
Yeah, you picked me up in Cambridge, Ohio, and we drove to Baltimore.
For the Navy game.
Yep.
And as it happens, and now I'm not doing this on purpose. It is my birthday today as we record this on Wednesday. But the reason, it's my 50th birthday. I'm wearing a Jonas Brothers shirt to be young and hip. Do you see? Can you see that's I have Jonas Brothers faces. If you're watching on YouTube, does that make me look young to be wearing the faces of Kevin, Nick, and Joe Jonas on my body as I turn 50?
I will say two things. One, happy birthday. Two, I would not assume you were 50. If I didn't know you, I know that you're turning 50 because I remember that day was your 40th birthday, that first game we covered together. But I would not assume. I would guess you're more like early 40s, maybe.
As I stare at my hairline on the YouTube show every day, I think, it might be 50. But I was mad. I think it was my 41st birthday that day. And I was mad.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, for 14.
I guess
23 right now.
Yeah.
And I was mad because I was we were at the game on my birthday, and then there was like all the restaurants were closed after the game in Baltimore. So enough about that. We wanted to have some fun. We are going to have some fun. And one of the reasons, Bill, is because my takeaway from Ryan Day's discussion of the quarterback situation this week was, that's what everybody expected. Kyle McCord's going to start. Devin Brown's going to play. Kyle McCord's not the starter. He's starting this game. I think it's wide open. I think who plays the best in the first 2 or 3 games is going to start against Notre Dame and be the starter from then on. So I didn't have anything to say beyond that. Is that what you are thinking?
That is what I'm thinking. I do sense a little bit of that. Maybe people think this is a little bit of a dog and pony show where like Kyle's actually the starter. He's saying nice things about Devin, but he's not actually going to follow up on playing Devin. I don't agree with that. I'm assuming you don't agree with that. I think they're both going to play a decent amount over the next couple of weeks. What that looks like, no idea. I wish I could give people, an answer on that. We don't have one. But I do think this is a competition that is carrying into the season, and whoever comes out on top will be the guy starting the Notre Dame week and moving forward.
I think whoever plays the best is going to be the quarterback. And I don't think they know who's going to play the best, because the main wild card in all of this is you don't know what Devin Brown looks like in a game. You have a little bit of a sense of Kyle McCord from the spring game and the fact that he played against Akron 2 years ago. But even that, you don't have a huge sense. And they turned him into a handoff machine when he got in the game last year.
Yeah.
You have no idea what Devin Brown's going to look like. And is he going to rise up and be like, oh my gosh, this guy is a playmaker, and he's making the routine play, and he's not turning it over, and then I think he's going to be the starting quarterback? Or is Devin Brown going to be a little bit too loose with the ball? He's not making the right reads. Kyle's experience really shows, and Kyle's the guy. I think that's what's at stake here, and they don't know because it hasn't happened. But I think this is all legit, and so we'll see how they play against Indiana. And as Bill mentioned, there's so much happening. We're so grateful that you guys are along for the ride. This is just we are at the tip of the iceberg of this. We've had a meeting. I do love meetings. We've had a meeting. We have so much happening at Kings of Columbus on the podcast, but we are having a post-game show every week. Landis and I are going to be on basically as soon as the game ends. And Bill, you and I haven't specifically talked about it, but what I'm envisioning we do is we're going to break things up like, you watch left tackle. I wouldn't do that to you. You watch right tackle and Josh Fryer. I'll watch left tackle. You count the running back snaps. I'll count the receiver snaps. You count the cornerback rotation. I'll count the defensive line snaps. So we're gonna follow the game in a way so that when we talk about it right after the game, it's like the kind of thing you would get hours later or a day later. We're gonna do that right away because we're gonna be watching the game that way. You don't have to. You're a fan. We'll watch it that way for you, and then we will dive in with a post-game show unlike any other.
Yeah, the kind of stuff that I would typically write probably on a Monday, we are going to do the best we can to bring that to you in video and podcast form, audio form, right after the game ends. And there'll be, I think, even when we go through all that, there'll still be a lot left on the bone, right? I think Berm and I are still planning to do our rewatch, podcast daily on Monday mornings. Like, that's not going anywhere. This is just, this is additive on top of what we've done, or we did all of last year off of games. And I think it'll be a really nice addition.
You know what we're going to have a lot to say about on Saturday, right after the game? The quarterbacks. All the things we're not saying now, we're going to say then.
Right.
So you're going to want to be part of this. When I was doing Buckeye Talk, people were ravenous. They would say, like, we were writing stories afterwards, like, when's the podcast coming out? The answer now here on Kings of Columbus is immediately. So it'll be in your podcast feed after we record it, a couple hours later. So if you want to catch it super late Saturday night, if you want to listen to it on Sunday or driving to work on Monday, it'll be in your podcast feed. But also, if you're driving home after the game, it'll be live on the YouTube channel.
Yep.
So bring up the YouTube show on your phone, plug it into your radio, and listen to it live. Or if you're going for a jog, put it on YouTube on your phone and listen and watch immediately. Or if you're sitting at home watching Ohio State versus Indiana from 3:30 to 6:45, and then you're going to watch college football Saturday night, who cares about like everybody else's like pregame show or whatever? Watch us. Put us on YouTube and have us running as you're getting ready for the primetime games that night. You want this right away. This is actually, Indiana's boring. They're much more boring than you are acting like they are.
Yeah.
And I know the stats everybody has. They're boring. We're going to do a betting show, by the way, also. We're going to at least talk about betting later this week. That's also coming. There's so much happening. Ohio State is as interesting. This might be the most interesting Ohio State's been from their perspective only in an opener since, I don't know. Like, you always want to see the quarterback. You wanted to see what Justin Fields looked like in 19. You wanted to see what Dwayne Haskins looked like in 18. You want to see what CJ Stroud looks like in 21. But the uncertainty and what's on the line, maybe since 15, the Virginia Tech opener with all that talent back and who's going to start between Cardale and JT?
Yeah, I don't. Certainly not 16. Like, even Ryan Day's first year as head coach, like, they opened with
Florida Atlantic, right?
Atlantic that year, right? Yeah. So it was like, oh, I want to see Justin, but there wasn't a whole lot of intrigue beyond that. I might say this is maybe the most interesting they've been in the now decade I've been covering this team.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be. 15, we didn't know who the starter was going to be between JT Barrett and Cardale Jones. They didn't know, right?
Yeah, and that was crazy.
So
that was crazy, but they also, like, they had won the national championship, so like the stakes at that time did not feel particularly high.
Yeah.
It ended up obviously being the case, but in the moment I don't know that I felt that.
No, because it was like the most talented team in the country, because this exercise, we're getting ready to do this 90-person draft. I was looking back at the old starters, and it's like, hey, the starters in 2014, okay, wrote those down. Let me write down the starters in 2015. Oh, they're all the same.
All the same guy, yeah.
Everybody who mattered from a national championship team is back. And you did not know in the moment. Actually, you might have had an inkling that they were going to blow it.
Yeah, probably. There was enough happening in real time that you could have at least felt uneasy about it, I think. Yeah.
But they hadn't yet benched Cardale after 3 series, and like they would, in week 2 or week 3, whatever that was. So like this, we know is uncertain. That it was like, well, they're going to pick JT or Cardale, but they've both won at the highest level. Okay, this we don't know how Kyle McCord and Devin Brown are going to play, right? We honestly don't.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would anyone pick? I'm on team Kyle, I'm on team Devin, and there certainly has been a lot of chatter, I think, from Ohio State fans. Like, I'm on team Ohio State starting quarterback. What are we doing?
Right.
But I don't think anyone can have a real idea, Bill, of how either of those guys for sure are going to play.
Yeah, I mean, what you're basing off high school film, I guess, if anything, because I don't even know that. I don't think Kyle has played enough for you to have a strong opinion one way or the other. If you, I think maybe we have an idea of their styles. So if you want to make a pick stylistically, I guess I can understand that. But to say like, this guy's not it, this is definitely the guy, like, I have no idea what you're basing that on, which is why I'm excited to watch the game on Saturday.
So we'll be excited for you guys to join us on that post-game show. Bill Landis, Doug Lesmerises, right after Ohio State, Indiana. Come find us wherever you live. Not where you listen. Find us on YouTube. Find us on YouTube.
Yep.
Even if you don't want to see our faces, close your eyes. Not if you're running. Close your eyes and listen to us, or watch us on YouTube. We're going to be talking about the game immediately. And if you find a better Ohio State postgame show, tell us, and then we'll dispute it. But I think it's going to be the best postgame show out there, Landis.
I am not typically one to set those kind of expectations for myself, but yeah, I think it's going to be pretty good.
I am absolutely someone to do that and then fall woefully short. Again, a great podcast name, Falling Woefully Short. Next. So a decade's worth of Ohio State stars, 90-person speed draft, no more than 30 seconds per pick, and maybe more like 7 seconds per pick. We're not trying to be the smartest guy in the room. We're trying to have a little fun before we dive in to what should be a very exciting Ohio State football season. We'll do that next on Kings of Columbus. Doug Lesmerises back with Bill Landis. When I said this idea, did you think it was nuts or fun or both?
I thought it was fun, but you sent it to me right as I was like sitting down to start writing the thing that I write every year, which is a thought on every single scholarship player on the roster. And I was doing the defense, and I thought to myself, doing all of this and then figuring out who's played over the last decade to prepare for the draft seems like an awful lot of work to do in like 12 hours. But but we did it. Yeah. So I'm more excited than anything else. I do have questions about it though.
Well, this would be the time to ask because we're going to start in like 38 seconds.
Okay. So 2 deep every position. We're doing, is it a 4-3 defense?
So there's some flexibility there. I mean, they don't run a 4-3 anymore. So
Right.
I would think, right? So 2 defensive tackles, 2 defensive ends, 2 linebackers, 2 corners, 2 safeties. And then the 11th guy can be, I would say, could be a slot corner, could be a third linebacker. I don't know, right?
Maybe just not a 5th defensive lineman because that's not
because they don't do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But you can decide if you want to be a 4-3 or like a 4-2-5.
Yeah.
And so 2 deep at every position. That's the case. And so we did the draft earlier, and it was like we're just trying to tell you who on the team is good. Are we trying to beat each other now?
So we'll also say this: we're starting a tech subscription service.
Yep.
At the podcast. If you're familiar with what I did at Buckeye Talk, it's like that. It's going to launch soon. And so my guess would be, Landis, once we get these 2 teams of 45 done, we'll put them out to the tech subscribers once they exist and have them vote and who has the best team.
Okay.
So I don't like when people are so hell-bent on draft strategy that now their picks don't reflect skill. The number one thing is to reflect the strengths of the Ohio State and the outstanding players over the past decade.
Yeah.
That really is the goal here. It's a fun way to discuss that. But I also think it's like, hey, if you want to take your 3rd corner before I take any corners because you want to kill me at corner, that's okay. And then it's like, oh, maybe you're a guy who's a 2nd team corner for you was a 1st team All-American, but you're sticking it to me. I think that's okay because you're also drafting an excellent player high in the draft.
Right. Okay. All right. Cool.
All right. So we're just going to we have a clock that we can see, even though you guys can't see it. So are we going to keep, we'll yell at each other. You're allowed to yell at the other person. Time's up. If it's time to make a pick, because there's nothing you can't. I've edited enough podcasts where it's like, let's see. And then it's like 8 seconds of silence. Yeah. And it's like, does everyone know that 8 seconds of silence is not good podcasting? Which is why in my podcasting career, I have never been silent for 8 seconds. We're just going to keep it quick. And if you screw up, you screw up. And it's going to go back and forth. Do you want the first pick or not?
No, it's your birthday. You can have the first pick.
For real?
Yeah.
I can't. You're so nice. I can't believe it. I got myself a McGriddle and a sausage biscuit for my birthday breakfast. So this is the 2nd present I've gotten today. The first presents were McDonald's sandwiches.
I like that you treat yourself on your birthday like people treat like their dogs before they know that they go put them down and just let them eat whatever they want.
Now I feel like I should just eat fruit. Why didn't I eat fruit? I should have turned over a new leaf and been like, I'm never eating a McGriddle again. Instead, I was like, you know what? By the way, I definitely got at least multiple responses from people after and we're going to do what you're watching, what you eating, what you're thinking at the end of this, by the way, because we have to work that in every week. We're not going to do it in the post-game show. It would be weird if we were like, welcome back, Devin McCord or Devin Brown versus Kyle McCord. First, what movie did Landis see this week? We're not going to do those Saturdays. We'll do that on midweek. What you watching, what you eating, what you thinking. Last week I talked about I don't want to eat too much bacon, and someone sent me a study of rats eating bacon, and the rats were just chowing on bacon and living life and were super healthy. And somebody else was like, bacon is better than running. And I was like, I love this audience. Bacon is better than running.
That was me emailing you from my burner. Yeah.
You made up a fake doctoral thesis of like, what can I do?
Yeah.
Bacon is better than. I'd like to prove. All right, I'm going to go first. We're just trying to build the best team that we can. You find great talent and you find sort of lines in the sand of where maybe guys really separate themselves.
Yep.
So I'm not going to explain my picks as much as I just did because the clock didn't start yet. Now it's starting. I'll take Ezekiel Elliott.
Oh, interesting.
Running
okay.
back.
I like that. We are thinking along similar lines here because my first pick is Malik Hooker.
Malik Hooker. Okay. You're trying to separate yourself here. I then will take. See, this is difficult. And again, a lot of this is based on, to me, it's based on how good they were at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So I'll take Chase Young.
Okay.
At edge.
And now, like, I think when stuff like this happens, right? So you take Chase Young. Now, I feel compelled to take Joey Bosa because I cannot live in a world where you get both of them. So I'm taking Joey Bosa.
Right. And then I take Nick Bosa because to me, it's like you want two of the three.
Yep.
Right. So I feel like two. It's hard. No, you're not going to get all three. Can you imagine if we were like Nick Bosa? Hey, you're second team behind Chase Young and Joey Bosa. But that was a little bit my strategy there. If I start the run, I end up with two of the three.
Okay. Back to me. This is probably unnecessary, but I really do think he is different than all the other guys who played the position. I'm taking Justin Fields.
This has been I am very torn on all of this. I have gone back and forth on like, was CJ better or was Justin better? And we can have a discussion about that later, but we're not going to have it right this very second. Okay. So I'm going to take Marshawn Lattimore because I have, and I think I always will think that 1 year he played in 16 was the best year a cornerback has had at Ohio State. And so even in a world where they have great corners, I think he stands out.
Paris Johnson.
So that's a really good pick. And now this forces my hand a little bit because I did go through and try to separate who are the truly, truly elite guys at all the positions. So I'm going to take Taylor Decker because I can't live in a world where you have Paris Johnson and Taylor Decker.
Right.
So I'll take Taylor Decker. You have Paris Johnson as your left tackle. I'll have Taylor Decker as my left tackle. And those two separate a tackle, right?
Yeah, I would have done the same thing had the roles been reversed. Let's see. Man. God, it's my first let's see of the podcast.
This is hard. It's so fast. It's hard. It's so fast.
I actually think there is a decent amount of separation at corner for as good as corners have been here. I think there's a decent amount of separation at corner after I picked Denzel Ward. So I'm going to take Denzel Ward.
Okay. That's interesting. That's a viewpoint. I'm maybe going to reach here and I'm going to be very curious what you think of this pick. Because I'm talking about separation. And I'm going to take Draymond Jones at defensive tackle.
Defensive tackle, we'll get into it after we pick our teams, but I did think that was an interesting position. More separation there than I would have assumed prior to going through this exercise.
He's the only defensive tackle I had written down among like the standout guys.
Darren Lee,
interesting. That is the first linebacker off the board, and it depends how you view linebackers here. It's hard because you don't want to let NFL stuff affect it. This guy was a game wrecker playing linebacker at Ohio State.
And I think if you an honest assessment of that position, I think reveals only a select few true game wreckers, and Ryan Shazier is not part of this exercise. He's a year too late.
Good pick. And is it too long that we've waited? I'll take Marv. There's such receiver talent, it affects your view.
Yes, and I was so my hesitancy with like my last 3 picks is like, should I take Marv now? Now is now the right time?
He's undoubtedly receiver 1, correct?
He is undoubtedly receiver 1, but it's such a deep position. It's like, well, can I get by without taking him? Maybe. Okay.
Is it too fast?
No, I don't think it's too fast because
okay.
we're gonna lay it out in a more complete version once we're done. Wyatt Davis.
That's good. Wyatt Davis, I think, was cut in the round of cuts of the NFL the other day. Remarkable to me. He's the only guard I had written down as like a special guard.
Yeah.
Remarkable to me that has not worked out in the NFL for him. I'm borderline shocked by it. So, okay, I'm going to make a play here. There's a guy I feel like I should take, but I'm going to make a play instead. And I am planting a flag a little bit on this, and I'm going to take Garrett Wilson. And okay. it is nothing against Jackson Smith-Njigba, but whenever everybody has a conversation of like the evolution of Ohio State receivers, and Garrett himself said Jackson's going to be better, Jackson is better. Like, I don't know if I believe that. Like, I still like, so Marv to me is the final evolution. If you told me, and I know what Jackson did, but still it's like, give me one player for a season at their best. I think I'd take Garrett.
I think I would take Garrett too, and I was going to take Garrett with my next pick, so you beat me to it. We're taking 6 receivers total?
Yes. Well, yeah. So we're taking 12 total, 6 each.
Or 6
because three starters and 3 second-team guys, yes.
Okay, well then I have to take Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Yeah, I think you do. And so I'm not going to be too much of a jackhole here. I'm not going to do 3 straight receivers in a row. This is the other guy. This is the guy I was going to take, and I feel like I should take. I'll take Josh Myers at center because I feel like there is a little separation there. And the issue in doing a draft like this is even if a guy exists at multiple positions, he doesn't exist multiple times in this draft. So Michael Jordan and Pat Elflein and Billy Price, who have all played center at Ohio State, also played guard. And trying to figure out how to mix and match that. Josh Myers is a great center who was a 2nd-round pick, and I'm happy to have him.
Chris Olave, because I now am scrambling to make sure that I have some of the top-end receivers. There are really good receivers to pick, and we're going to name them. But I think there is a cutoff once you get past the Garrett, Marv, Jackson, Chris Olave world.
So I think there's one more. I listed 5 receivers, and I'll take him now. And it's not statistical, but I'll take Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
And to me, there are, as you said, so many good ones. But in the last decade, I do think those 5 are a little different. Would you include Michael Thomas with that top group of 4 or no?
It's hard because yes, but I wonder how much of that is NFL stuff, because he was good here. He was very good at Ohio State. He was like half as productive as the other guys we're talking about. That's the nature of the offense too. But I think the talent is what it is. So I think he's probably there. Yeah.
And they just didn't throw him the ball enough the way it worked out. So, all right. So that's pick 19 is Michael Thomas, pick 20 to you.
J.K. Dobbins, because I think there's Zeke, and then there's a gap, and then there's J.K., and then I think there's like a pretty big gap. So I want to make sure I have one of the top 2 running backs.
No, I think that's right. And that's one of those where, like, if I wanted to shiv you, it's like, oh, should I take J.K. Dobbins as my backup running back?
That's what
and then you would take Mike Weber as your starter. Right. So, like, I didn't do that. I wouldn't do that to you. But
nice guy.
I will take. I think this guy. I think Marshawn Lattimore's corner 1. Well, you took Denzel as corner 2. Do you agree Marshawn's corner 1? Or would you have maybe taken Denzel 1?
I could go back and forth on it. I think you're just compelling arguments for each.
I think Jeff Okudah's corner 3, and I'll take him here.
I think that's right.
Okay.
His pro career, how it's transpired so far, might make people think differently about him, but he was awesome when he was here. So
yeah.
Okay, back to me. I'm gonna take Pat Elflein and put him at center.
Okay, that's a good move. All right, I'm gonna take my guy who I honestly had first at his position. I don't disagree. And it's actually different positions, which is the thing we have to figure out here. It's like a deep safety and a more of an in the box safety.
Yeah.
But just in lumping the safeties together, I actually had this guy first on my list. And it's just maybe because I love him. It's Von.
Yeah.
Von Bell. I think Malik Hooker and Von Bell are the top two safeties in the last decade of Ohio State, pretty indisputably. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. Different players, I think.
Very different.
Just some of the plays that Malik Hooker made, man. Like I can't get them out of my head. Like, what are we? We're 6 years removed from that. Insane what he did that 1 year as a starter. Back to me. Okay. Man, some of these positions do kind of thin out a little bit, huh?
I mean, it's one of those things that thins out from like first round picks to third round picks.
Right. Yeah,
it thins out from unanimous All-Americans to only first team All Big Ten guys.
Yeah, right. Raekwon McMillan.
Oh, that hurt me. That hurt me because to me, you picked Darren Lee. I actually had Raekwon first among my linebackers, and I don't dispute Darren, but I think Raekwon was underrated as much as he played as a true freshman. I thought he was first team All-American level late in his career. He never got there. He's mad he didn't get a tree. I think that's a really good pick, but to make up for it, let me double check this. Am I double checking this? Players, that's the top 24 that we have taken right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've taken one player on this year's team. Is that correct? We've only taken Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take a second player from this year's team.
Oh, no. Already?
Is it too early?
No, I've been thinking about it.
Sonny Styles.
Yeah. Okay.
So is this... we're talking about, so what we're trying to do here.
I'm sad.
We're going to analyze at the end, but I want to talk here for a second because this is really, we're here to have a good time. Kings of Columbus. But we also want to analyze. So what we're doing through this is trying to figure out the talent of this year's team, which we said at our live show is better than Georgia's. How does it compare to the last decade of Ohio State football? It just so happens that this is Landis's 10th year on the beat. So we have a nice round number to work with. Also, 2014, the first year we're doing it, they win the national championship. This is a very nice round number in a lot of different ways. I had Sonny Styles third on my safety list, behind Von Bell and Malik Hooker in some order.
Yep.
And I don't think that's crazy because there are some very good safeties after them. But I think what everybody is already saying Sonny Styles can be, the way coaches talk about him, I don't think third is nuts.
I don't think it's nuts. If part of this exercise is projecting what we think guys are going to be by the end of their career, I think Sonny is unique among a bunch of studs that have come through this program in the last decade. And I think when he leaves, we'll all believe that.
So I think when you do something like this, what you're doing is sort of, whether it's drafting for a single game or a single season, you're kind of taking a guy at his best at Ohio State. And so with Sonny, that's a projection because we're doing it for the 2023 season. But we are saying that we think the way he'll play this year will be the third best safety season, the safety level of talent that we've seen at Ohio State in a decade. And I took him and you're mad, so I feel like we're on the same page. All right, that was pick 25 for me, 26 to you.
I'm not mad. I'm sad. It's a difference. I'm gonna cry.
See, I'm happy to make you mad. I don't want to make you sad now. I feel guilty. I feel guilty now.
It's not. I'm sad. I'm sad because I wasn't confident in myself to make that pick 3 picks ago when I wanted to make it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. So
I'm so happy to have Von Bell and Sonny Styles together.
God, it's so good. It's so good. I mean, I have Malik Hooker still. Remember that play Malik Hooker made in the Fiesta Bowl
when he started 30 yards from the sideline and then picked off Deshaun Watson? Yeah.
I'm just going to think of that.
No other human could make.
I'm going to play it in a loop in my head. I'm going to take a guy who I believe is like a top top 5 maybe is fair. Top 5 like offensive playmaker over this run of time, and that is Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out where to put him. I still think you can put him at like slot receiver or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, I have Jackson too, so
Jackson can play outside.
Yeah, I'm gonna put him at receiver.
So I still feel like Curtis Samuel was never used the right way in the NFL, because when Carolina drafted him and they had Christian McCaffrey, and I was like, oh, it's like Curtis Samuel's like Christian McCaffrey light, but Christian McCaffrey's a running back who they also throw passes to. But Curtis Samuel's always been a receiver who every now and then they hand the ball to. And I don't know why someone didn't make him more of a running back.
Yeah, or like treat him. Maybe he's not as sturdy as Deebo Samuel, but I think he could have done some of that stuff too. The way that San Francisco uses him now.
Yeah. So whatever. I just think he's a rare player, man. He's a rare player. Okay. I am now going to go. I think I had this guy third on my list at his position. I did. I'll take Tommy Eichenberg.
It's a good pick.
And I wanted Raekwon running my defense at middle linebacker, but you took him. So I'm pretty good with Tommy Eichenberg running my defense at middle linebacker instead.
Yeah, I think I would be too. I don't think I'd be terribly upset if I ended up having to take Tommy instead of Raekwon. Raekwon, like, better athletic traits, I think, but Tommy is a very good player. I feel like I need to start building out defensive end a little more, but no one's really jumping. I'm gonna take Tyquan Lewis.
Yep.
Who I think is probably fairly viewed as a guy who got a lot of production because of who he played with, but that's fine because he was productive, and I still get to pair him with Joey Bosa.
Yeah, he's not out there by himself.
Yeah.
He can still be productive. All right, I'm going to lean toward just sort of a favorite of mine, and I'm going to take Jerome Baker.
I was actually surprised that you did not take him before taking Tommy.
So Jerome played middle linebacker, right? But I'll play him at will here.
He played will.
He played will?
Yeah.
All right. I feel good about Tommy and Jerome. I think on the list of players who were hurt the most by less than adequate coaching in my 18 years covering Ohio State, Jerome Baker might be first on the list.
Yeah. He also had the he had the sophomore breakout, and then the junior year was not great. And I don't know how much of that was coaching and how much of that was I'm going to be getting paid soon. But he was a really good player.
Did get paid because he's really good in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. Turns out he might have been onto something if that was his line of thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. Man.
So now we're getting to the point where we're kind of starting to draft backups on our own teams, right? So I mean,
I've got a couple starting jobs left to fill out. We're getting to that point though. I'm going to take a guy who's currently on the team. I'm going to take Donovan Jackson.
Okay, that's a good pick for guards.
So my guards are Wyatt Davis and Donovan Jackson.
That's good.
With Pat Elflein as my center.
I had Donovan Jackson as my second guard behind Wyatt Davis. So you're the two best guards. So that's pretty good. Okay. All right. I see what you're doing to me here. All right. Donovan Jackson's off the board. All right. I'm going to do this because I don't like the one thing about this, at least if you have a two deep, you're taking at least two guys at every position. So it's not like, oh, you took that position, so I can wait and take it last.
Right.
And I can't let this happen. So I'll take CJ Stroud. I can't let you have Justin Fields on CJ Stroud.
I would be lying if I said the thought was not in my mind to double up with those two.
Yeah.
Because there's a delineation there. And even between CJ and Dwayne Haskins, I think there's a gap there that would make me favor CJ.
Yeah. Okay. That really would have been quite a thing.
I would have been Justin and CJ.
I would have been like, we're rolling with Kyle McCord, man. Where we at? Let's go.
Who do I have left? Oh, the guy that broke every Big Ten passing record and the guy who would throw himself in front of a train for Ohio State to win a football game. I think he'd be okay.
Yeah. No, that's true. All right. Pick 32 to you.
Sam Hubbard.
That's a good pick.
I do feel like defensive line or defensive end in particular is kind of out of dudes.
Okay. I am going to take... Am I going to do it? I'm trying to double check. Yeah, I'll take DeJuan Jones.
Okay.
At offensive tackle. So that is only the third tackle off the board, right? Because you took Paris Johnson, I took Taylor Decker. So DeJuan Jones is starting for me at right tackle. So I have Taylor Decker and DeJuan Jones as my tackles.
Yeah, and I think I was okay with letting that play out however you want it to go because there were a couple guys that I was comfortable taking, but I am going to take one of them now. I'm going to take Thayer Munford.
Man, I was going to take Thayer Munford next and then like almost figure out whether I was going to play him at tackle or guard later. I want him on my team, man. It's a good pick by you.
I have a full offensive line now. Pat Elflein at center, Wyatt Davis and Donovan Jackson at guard, Paris Johnson and Thayer Munford at tackle.
All right. That's good. So now I'm going to try to... You know what? No, I feel good about this. I'll take Billy Price. And I...
Put him at guard?
I'm probably going to play him at guard. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good guard, man. Again, NFL affects you a little bit. I thought Billy Price was going to play 10 years in the NFL at like a borderline Pro Bowl level.
Yeah, it's odd to me that it didn't work out because I would have agreed with you. He was excellent at guard and center. He was a Remington winner.
I don't know. Like Wyatt Davis not working out in the NFL. Billy Price didn't really work out in the NFL. Pat Elflein, like okay, probably better than those guys. Not great in the NFL. Like I don't know what it is. Josh Myers, I guess the setters have worked out, right? Josh Myers.
Well, I don't know. Because Josh Myers was in camp was like in jeopardy of losing a starting job.
He was.
I didn't follow up on that to see whether or not he did.
Corey Linsley went nuts, but he can't be in this draft. It's not that they're not great players; they are. But it makes me wonder. You know what I mean? Like when you sort of have a trend of guys either achieving more in the NFL or less in the NFL that I did at Ohio State. You think was something at play there?
It's odd. I do wonder if that's part of what works against them in recruiting sometimes too, because you can't point to the NFL really and say like we have this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. That's why Paris Johnson's really important, I think. I don't have any defensive tackles. Yeah. And I honestly don't feel like super compelled to pick one at the moment. Because there's a long list of guys here that all feel the same to me. But I guess for the sake of having one, I'll take Devon Hamilton.
Okay. Yeah, there's a kind of a group of guys I felt after Draymond, maybe a group of like at least 4 that you almost try to figure out who you want there.
Yeah.
So Devon Hamilton's a good pick, and I think I'm going to do it. I don't think this is unreasonable. I'm not doing it just for the headlines. I'm not here just for the clickbait of punter taken with pick 37. As scintillating of a headline as that is, I think this is real. And I'm going to take Cam Johnston, who was a weapon. He was actually a weapon, and you can still Google it. Cleveland.com, Cam Johnston, Buckeyes, Ohio State, Lesmerises, where I make the case that Cam Johnston did his job as well as anybody on the team in like 14 and 15.
You know, I'm not going to disagree with any of that. If I thought I was sad before, I'm devastated now.
You are willing to trade me like Paris Johnson and Joey Bosa for Sonny Styles and Cam Johnston.
Sonny Styles on a punter. Yeah. It's a great pick, man. It's a great pick.
And it's about that time, right? This is not like we're in an area where there's like some, you can pick from a group of guys. He stands out. They've had other solid punters here, but I don't even know. Like the game has changed a little bit. The way Urban used him and wanted him to angle punts to the corner, and you're just pinning opposing offenses inside the 10 on a somewhat regular basis. What an advantage.
Yeah, that's why he's the ultimate weapon. I have no words for what you just did to me.
And I said on Twitter that we're basically doing this to figure out when we're going to pick Cam Johnston, and he liked the tweet. So yeah, Cam, I'm sorry, maybe 37 was too low.
There are some really good players who have not yet been drafted, who were drafted behind who now we drafted behind Cameron Johnston, and I don't have a problem with any of it. Back to me. I need to regroup here. Neither one of us have taken a tight end yet. Which is probably
it's an interesting conversation. Who's the best tight end at Ohio State in the last decade?
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that, which is why I'm not picking one.
Yeah.
I need another corner. I need another safety. I'm going to pick Eli Apple.
Ooh, interesting.
To put with Denzel Ward, who, like, Eli Apple has had like an up and down pro career, but he was a really good college corner.
Okay. That's a good pick. I had him, he's the 4th corner off the board for us. I had him 5th on my corner list.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take a guy here to try to stick it to you a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm going to take Luke Whippler.
That's not sticking it to me.
It's not. Okay.
My offensive line's complete. And you're taking Luke Whippler to play a position he's never played before?
No, he's going to be my backup center.
You're taking a backup center before you take a starting guard?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, who's your center? Oh, you're playing Pat Elflein at center.
Pat Elflein at center. Yeah.
But there's not, when you take some of the guards like Price and Elflein, well, I took Price at guard. When you take some of these guys who were centers and you're playing them at guard, it just gets a little short at center to me.
It does get short at center, but I will be happy if my consolation prize is the starting center for the national championship team. So that's fine. I'll just wait to take him later.
Carson Hinsman, you're calling it for the Buckeyes in 2020?
This year, yeah, later this year. That's what I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay. Garyon Conley.
So now you're hitting the corners. Okay. Now you're hitting the corners, and I'm going to hit linebacker. I'm going to take Pete Warner.
I love Pete Warner so much.
Perhaps the Buckeye I was the least able to get a handle on during his career. Maybe because he was like arguably the best player on like a bad defense. Was there in the COVID year, was coached by Bill Davis, was part of the Greg Schiano scheme in 18 when they're playing the linebackers in the defensive tackle gaps and they look like they're constantly out of position. Yeah. Like, just, I never got a handle on him. And then he was a 2nd round pick and I was like, oh, I guess he was good.
Yeah, he was the guy who like killed the bullet. We were talking all off season with the bullet before 2019. We're like, who's going to be the bullet? It's like, we're just not going to take Pete Warner off the field. It's like, okay.
Yeah. And it worked. Yeah, but he did. It's called the Pete.
Yeah, the Pete. The pistol. Jalen Holmes.
Are you playing him inside or outside?
I'm going to play him outside.
Okay.
To complete my defensive end group.
You're leaning on positional value there, defensive end.
Yeah, but I'm just now realizing I should have maybe done something else. But it's okay.
Okay. We're coming up on a break here because I got to reset myself. I don't know if this is the right pick, but I feel good. This guy I think is going to start for me, actually. So I'm just going to take this guy. I'm going to take Jonah Jackson at guard.
Yeah, I was going to take him to try to stick it to you.
Yeah.
But I'm a nice guy. Unlike you, who took Cam Johnston.
Yeah. I might play Cam Johnston at guard. He's very versatile.
Okay, am I making a pick or are we taking a break?
Make pick 44.
Okay. Emeka Ibuka.
Oh, that's a good pick. He's next. I think he's like, we talked about that top group of 5 at receiver. Whether you like, if Michael Thomas is 5th, right? You have the top 4, Marv, Garrett, Jackson, and Chris. And then Michael Thomas in there. I think Emeka is indisputably next.
Yep. I agree. There's more good players there, but I think he's next.
All right. I'll take Jordan Fuller and play him at my deep safety spot as the eraser on the back end because I want to let Von Bell and Sonny Styles let it rip. And so I need a deep safety to make sure nothing gets out of the house.
Man. Okay.
Do you think I reached there on Jordan Fuller?
No. I was going to say, you're building a nice 4-2-5, but you also have 3 awesome linebackers. So I don't know what you're doing. Oh,
I guess I'm going to have to bench one of my linebackers.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll just play no deep safety. We'll just put 11 guys in the box and tell everybody to come get us.
That's true. Or you can play with one corner.
Because Sonny Styles can play any position, and so can Cam Johnston. Okay, that's halfway through our speed draft. We're going to take a break, reset, and then we'll come back with the final 45 picks. Who will Landis take as his punter? We'll do all that next on Kings of Columbus. And we are back on Kings of Columbus. We are 45 picks in, 45 to go. We just reset our depth charts. I still need a starting tight end and a starting defensive tackle. Otherwise, I am on to my second team. Actually, the only backups that I have so far are a backup center and a backup linebacker. Landis, what do you need for starters still?
I need one tight end. I need another defensive tackle. And then I guess I need to decide which direction I want to go with the back end of the defense. But at the moment, I only have 2 linebackers and 1 safety. So I have some holes to fill there.
Okay. All right. So it is pick 46 to you. Where are you going?
Shaun Wade.
Shaun Wade.
And I'm going to play Shaun Wade as like my nickel safety, like almost like a down in the box kind of safety, similar to the role he played in 2019 when he was awesome, and not the role he played in 2020 when he was less than that, despite being named a first-team All-American.
Yeah, it's hard with guys who have sort of varied careers, but you get the best of them. And the best of Shaun Wade was like everything you want in the slot.
Yep, that's where I'm putting him. And so he'll be my safety alongside Malik Hooker. Shaun Wade down in the box, Malik Hooker playing center field, wrecking your stuff.
Okay. Go wreck it. Okay, I am going to take, I think, I'll be curious to see if you agree with this. I think there's a line here. I'm going to take Trevion Henderson.
I agree that there's a line there. Yeah.
So he is my second running back. And when you think about Ezekiel Elliott, J.K. Dobbins, clearly the starting running backs in this exercise. If you're not playing Curtis Samuel at running back, then I think those are your top 4 guys in the backfield, and one of them's not actually there. And then you get into a little bit, it's a little hazier.
Yeah. So and I have Curtis Samuel, and I reserve the right to move in the running back if I want to. So he's a little hybrid player for me, but I agree with that. I have been eyeing Trevion because there's a little bit of a drop off now if you take Curtis Samuel out of that equation. Okay. I still do not feel compelled to take a tight end. Linebacker's interesting.
You could take my guy. Speaking of guys who were undone by coaching.
Yeah. Maybe the poster child for that, unfortunately for him.
Probably might be a little early for him.
Yeah.
Because he was undone. We're talking about Baron Browning.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to take my 4th corner.
Okay.
And it's going to be Denzel Burke.
I think that's right. I think that is correct. I had him on my corner list. I actually had him. I'm not a huge Eli Apple guy. Probably unnecessarily so. Yeah. I had him 4th on my list. I had him ahead of Eli Apple. I had him ahead of Garyon Conley. I had him ahead of Shaun Wade. So that might be wrong, but part of that is what I'm expecting from Denzel Burke this year. So I think this is an excellent pick by you here.
Yeah, it's projection. I think he's been fine to this point. I know he had a little bit of a dip last year, but I think ultimately his college career as an outside cornerback can end up being better than all those guys you just named.
Okay. I think that's a really good pick. You kind of loaded up at defensive end. You might even have all 4 of your defensive ends.
I have 4 defensive ends. Yep.
But I don't want to just play that game and then take defensive ends last. I want this to reflect skill. And so I'm okay. Even if strategically I don't have to do it, I'll take JT Tuimoloau.
Yeah, and he was when I took Jalen Holmes, and I was like, I forgot about JT. I think I would have taken him over Jalen Holmes.
Certainly, I believe what people are expecting.
Yeah,
and kind of what he did last year. But if people are predicting him to be a first-team All-American, which certainly some people are, and to be a first-round draft pick, then that is a higher threshold.
Yeah, he has 7 sacks in 2 years, which is not a lot, but I think he could have 10 this year. So. I think if you're baking that into the equation, it's a good pick.
Okay.
Don't need corners. You took Jordan Fuller, right? Okay.
Yeah. I think you didn't love that pick by me, but now you want him. See?
No, I did. I actually did like it. I was wondering about a world where Malik Hooker and Jordan Fuller could coexist, and I wasn't certain about that, and I did take that into consideration. I think I'm going to be operating with a traditional kind of 4-3 here. So I got my Mike with Raekwon, I got my Sam and Darren Lee, and I'm going to take my Will linebacker with Malik Harrison.
Good pick. I'm definitely playing a 4-2-5. I'm playing the defense that Jim Knowles is playing right now. But there are some good linebackers out there. I am going to, this is an upside play, and it might be wrong. And it's against my own list. But we have only taken one defensive tackle, right?
Two.
You took Davon Hamilton after
Yep.
I took Draymond Jones.
Yep.
So I actually have two other guys that when I rank the defensive tackles, I have higher. But I'm going to do this anyway, and I'm going to take Mike Hall.
Yeah. I think it's a good play. Go ahead. I know you're,
Just like projection.
Yep.
What we think he's going to be.
Yep. I think he's going to be like maybe an All-American this year. I think it's a good pick. It's a small sample size, but I do think that this guy is high up on the list of like most disruptive defensive tackles that Ohio State has had, and it's Tommy Togiai. Like he was kind of only that for 1 year, and it was 2020, but it was very good, and it was a shorter season. Like I get all that. Maybe if it's a longer season, it doesn't quite look that way, but just wreck stuff in the middle of that defensive line when he was playing that year alongside Haskell Garrett. So I'm taking Tommy.
Also, somewhat difficult to judge, just released by the Browns as they cut down to 53. They might bring him back, but I don't know that he was wrong to go. I think it was a 4th round pick, but he went off of one big year and maybe could have used another year of development. I'm not so sure he didn't go off one big game because he had 3 sacks against Penn State. But, you're never wrong to go, but it was brief in a COVID year, and then it hasn't happened in the NFL, and I think that can affect our judgment when you're talking about a dude who wrecked games.
Yeah, and just think, if he would have came back, I think that would have been a not insignificant addition to a 2021 defense that was hurting a little bit if you had him in the middle.
Yeah, so I think that is a good pick. I think I'm going to take, I think there's a line here also. And if you can hear paper shuffling, it's because I'm an old man and I write things down on paper. I'm trying to figure out who the next best guys are at this position. And I think this is right. I'm going to take Nicholas Petit-Frere at offensive tackle. And he becomes my backup right tackle behind DeJuan Jones.
I think you're right to go to that position because I was going there too. I was torn on whether or not I should take MPF or the guy I'm going to take right now, Jamarco Jones.
Which is, I was hoping to get those 2 in a row and stick it to you.
Yep.
So I had NPF 5th and Jamarco 6th. I'm not sure if that's right. I think if we wanted to play a game like who's the better Buckeye, right? When this could be a fun one to start with. Nicholas Petit-Frere or Jamarco Jones. They were both huge recruits that Jamarco Jones was a must get. They both started for multiple years. Neither of them were 1st or 2nd round picks in the NFL. Neither of them were spectacular at Ohio State, but they were both very good multi-year starters. I don't know. Coin flip, right?
I can't remember. Was MPF first team All Big Ten because Jamarco was?
I don't know. So now you're just saying you made the better pick. Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
no,
Just say
I think people might lean toward MPF because he had the higher draft slot and better recruiting pedigree. But I think Jamarco was probably a better Buckeye.
That's might not be wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So since you took Jamarco Jones when I was going to take him, this guy's different than the other excellent people at his position, but he's just different. And I'll take Devin Smith at receiver as a deep threat. And it also made me realize that there's something we got to that I myself have to figure out with another pick. But what do you think of Devin Smith there?
I think like he did that job better, I think, than anyone has done it since his time here. That pure kind of deep threat guy. So it's a good pick. I don't know that I would have gone to him next at receiver, but
Yeah.
I understand why you did.
I don't think it's a slam dunk that he's next, but yeah. All right, you're up.
I am going to take feeling like some backup offensive line jobs now, but I'm going to go with Matthew Jones.
Interesting. Is he's you think he's definitely next up at guard?
There's one other guy I think you could consider, unless I'm forgetting somebody.
Okay. All right. We got to keep this moving because I can't even keep track of who I like anymore. I'll take. Is this just no? This is not just me. I just want him on my team. Is it okay to just take a guy I want on my team?
Yeah.
Is that allowed?
Uh-huh.
I want Tyvis Powell in my locker room.
Yeah, love it.
And I also want him with Vaughn.
Yeah, of course.
And I also just think Sonny Styles will have a great time hanging out with Tyvis. So I like my safeties a lot. And so Tyvis isn't going to start for me, but he's actually a really high level player who is really important for excellent Ohio State teams. And he's just a swell fellow.
I'm going to fill out some more defensive line spots. I'm going to take Michael Bennett at defensive tackle.
I've been eyeing him for 10 rounds. I almost like he was higher when I said I took my call. I had Michael Bennett ranked higher. I had Michael Bennett second on tackles when I made my list. I had Draymond Jones 1 and Michael Bennett 2, and then it's just not sexy enough to pull the trigger in a draft.
Very like productive player. Maybe the better way to say it was like did exactly what Ohio State needed him to do in its national championship season.
But do you remember like in 2014, they flip-flopped Adolphus Washington and Bennett, kind of like to bring out the best in Adolphus, right?
Right. It was like Mike Bennett sort of took the more unselfish route and like flipped to nose and started eating up blocks so that Adolphus could get solo blocks as an interior pass rusher.
Because he just was like an excellent player. Yeah. Okay. So we are officially, man, I have reached the point at one spot eyeing it now where I don't feel great about necessarily who I'm going to wind up with. Interesting. Okay. It's getting a little dicey. I'm going to take Michael Jordan. Is that the guy you were thinking about with Matthew Jones at guard?
Yeah.
So I don't think he was a great center necessarily, but he was playing out of position when the year they needed him to play center. But I think he was a good guard, and he started as a true freshman because they needed him to do that. So he went pro. So he had a 3-year Ohio State career. Start at guard as a true freshman, which is a lot to ask. Play center as a true junior, which is a lot to ask. And only had one real year at what he should do best. And then he went to the pros.
Yep.
So it's like Michael Jordan, and then his pro career. I mean, he's been in the league a long time, but it didn't, he wasn't like a 10-year starter in the NFL. So I think we can maybe forget that like this guy was a 3-year starter on the offensive line. And when he actually had some experience under him and got to play the position he's supposed to play, he was quite a good football player.
Yeah, definitely good football player. All right. I'm going to go back to the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to grab another receiver. I'm going to grab Paris Campbell.
Yeah. In the slot. That's pretty good.
I'm going to do the double slot thing, but with Paris Campbell. A rotation of Paris Campbell, Curtis Samuel, and Emeka Ibuka.
Man. I like that rotation. Okay. How am I at receiver? So this makes me think I need to double check my slot also, which just doesn't.
Always, yeah. It's important. At least once a year.
Hey, Doc. Could you Could you help? No, I'm not going to do it because I'm going to leave open. I'm going to leave open that spot for something a little crazy instead. Because I don't know if I want to pull the trigger on crazy or not. I'm going to pull the trigger on underrated Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, good pick. I thought about taking Terry before Paris.
Good player, didn't get the ball enough. And I think we've seen how good he is in the NFL.
Yep. Okay. I need like a lot of linebackers. So I'm gonna take Joshua Perry.
You mean the leading tackler for a national championship team?
That is right.
62?
That's right.
That's
probably the last Buckeye, or no, maybe he finished. He might have finished with 299 career tackles. I was gonna say the last Buckeye we might ever see get 300, but I don't think he quite got there.
Yeah, that's a good pick. All right, so now you are looking at linebackers, and I don't want you to take my guy because I think we're to that spot. So I'll take Baron Browning.
Okay.
And I'm gonna play him at linebacker, which maybe I shouldn't. I should probably play him at edge, and I'm actually gonna make him. I can't believe I'm doing this to him. It's what I complained about his whole career, that they made him be a middle linebacker when they just should have let him play will or let him play edge. And now I'm going to make him Tommy Eichenberg's backup at middle linebacker after he spent his career sharing middle linebacker with Tuff Borland. So I'm sorry, Baron, that I'm doing this to you, but I just want you on my team.
There are positions I need to fill, like just to make sure I have an actual 2 deep, but there are more talented dudes at other positions.
Yeah.
So how dynamic was this guy? Maybe is a fair question to ask. You cannot question his production. KJ Hill.
That's who I was about to take and then did not take. But also he's K to the MFJ Hill.
MFJ, that's right.
So like don't ask if he's dynamic or not.
Yeah. One time I sprained my ankle outside of Northwestern's football stadium and fell to the ground in a heap, and KJ Hill's dad helped me off the ground.
I love KJ Hill's dad.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite stories I ever wrote. It's like you're walking around and there's a guy in a jersey that says KMFJ Hill. It's like, well, that seems like that's a story. And then it was. Because he was both guys. He was reliable, but he was also the guy who high stepped into the end zone on the game-winning touchdown against Penn State.
That's right.
Okay. It's getting a little dicey. This is a little bit of a projection also. I feel like I'm probably underestimating a guy based on production, but I'm going to take upside a little bit. I'm going to take Lathan Ransom.
That's actually man, that's a good pick.
At safety. And so he's going to back up Von Bell at kind of like the strong safety bandit, whatever spot. But that's based on current production, but I took him ahead of another guy that actually had initially ranked higher because of what he might be this year.
I like that. I'm gonna get a little crazy here. Because I need to fill out safety as well. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm buying the hype. I'm taking Malik Hartford.
You're literally taking a guy who's not played a snap of college football.
That's right.
Over Ronnie Hickman.
Yeah, I don't like the way that Ronnie Hickman's career ended here. Just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Good player, a lot of production, leading tackler on a bad defense 2 years, or his second to last year. Thought he kind of melted in at the end.
And if you don't want to take him, then you're getting a little, and it's like, okay. I mean, like Damon Webb.
Damon Webb, yeah.
It's like the other choice there who was solid, like a good, solid player, but
I do need another safety, so I couldn't have taken
you might end up with him anyway. Actually,
you also
need another safety also.
Yeah.
So, we don't want to talk down our guys, but man, are you? Zach Bourne is pouring the Kool-Aid.
Yes,
as you drink it.
Yeah,
but it's beautiful. Was like lime. I always like lime Kool-Aid. You're happy to guzzle it down.
Yeah. I think I'm basically there on he is going to be a starting safety by like the middle of the year this season, and then be like a 2.5 year starter at free safety for Ohio State.
I also thought when Jim Knowles this week threw Josh Proctor into the conversation. So it's like, hey, who's going to be the deep safety? It's like, well, it could be Jihad Carter, who transferred here, has played a lot of football. It could be Josh Proctor, or it could be Malik Hartford. No offense to Josh Proctor. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
And then it felt like cover to me.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is going to be Malik Hartford. Because that's like, oh, it could be one of 9 guys. Because you don't want to make it sound like it's a true freshman against a veteran who transferred here. You want to make it sound like it's wide open. No one knows what's going to happen. It's going to be the freshman.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take a corner, and I'm going to take a guy who was a very productive player and a pretty darn high draft pick for a national championship team. And I'll take Duran Grant.
4th round pick, right?
4th round pick.
Yep. Good starter.
player.
Yeah. Good starter for national championship defense.
Damon Arnett was a 1st round pick and is still available. I do not let the fact that the Raiders picked Damon Arnett in the 1st round affect my judgment of who the best corners were at Ohio State.
Yeah. It's probably, don't let the Raiders impact your judgment of anything. I think is a good way to go through life. Offensive line is like, there's not much there anymore. I still need a backup tackle and I need a backup guard. So I'm going to take a guy who played both positions fairly well, I think, and that's Brandon Bowen.
That is a good pick. Yeah, I got some, because there's a guy I know that you don't want to take that I think I'm going to wind up taking on that offensive line, and you're going to make me take him and like it. I am now going to take I am going to declare what I believe to be the best Ohio State tight end of the last decade. And I will take Cade Stover.
Really? You're that high on him?
I think the combination, listen, sometimes blocking in space, right? Not necessarily his strong suit yet.
Yep.
But I think his physicality, all the linebacker stuff, like the inline blocking, and then I think has shown that he can be a playmaker in the passing game. And I think when you combine all of that, is Luke Farrell's probably a better blocker. Maybe Jeremy Ruckert's a better route runner. Jeff Hireman was a heck of a good player. But I think what Stover has been and what he could be this year, staying for this 5th season, I think it's very close. There's 5 starting right? The whole decade. There's only 5 to choose from. Jeff Hireman, Nick Vannett, Marcus Baugh, Luke Farrell, Jeremy Ruckert, and Cade Stover. There's 6.
6. Yeah.
And I almost think you could make a case for any of the 6 here. But I'll take Cade.
I like it. I think it's a strong defense of the stance. I like Luke Farrell a little more, so I'm gonna take Luke Farrell.
And I don't think that's wrong. And Urban took him in the 4th round. So
that's right.
Like he's a really good college tight end who then didn't get the ball a ton, but did all the stuff that you're supposed to do at tight end. All right, I want to finish out. Now, I'm going to take a defensive tackle because I think we both still are looking for guys there, and I'm going to take the guy. This is probably an upside play more than anything else, except he's been out of college for 8 years. Maybe I'm still looking for his upside. I'll take Adolphus Washington.
Okay.
Long. Everyone likes long tackles. So I'll put him behind Draymond Jones and feel pretty good about it.
Okay. Let's see. I need linebackers, and eventually CJ Hicks is going to be a very good one here. So I'm going to take CJ Hicks.
Ahead of Steel Chambers.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, if we're to judge it, what it's going to look like by the time they're done here, I think I would take CJ. Yeah.
We can talk about. I'm okay going a little longer when we're talking about current guys. Are we looking at like a one great year of CJ Hicks and gone, and that we're gonna? I don't know if we'll lament it, but like, man, it would have been nice to see more of that guy if he starts as a junior and then goes pro.
Yes, I think that is what we're looking at. Yeah.
Does that?
Is that just the price of having good players, or is there a part of you that like that
Well,
nags at you if it happens?
Yeah, it does. Well, and I guess I shouldn't say that definitively because we've seen that happen before, right? I think there's a chance that he is somewhat significantly involved as like a package player in pass rush situations. And we feel his impact enough this year that after next year, when he's a starting full-time linebacker and goes to the NFL, maybe we won't have that feeling. I do think that's possible. I don't want to say it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, I've said this, like I have not loved the Jack conversation around him and like that kind of thing because I just want him to play linebacker.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to be like a wrinkle. I want him to be a dude.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just would, if you felt you could get there, I just would be in favor of like CJ Hicks and Steel Chambers sharing a job.
Yeah.
As I've used the Curtis Grant, Raekwon McMillan example in 2014 a million times. And it just doesn't sound like that's where we are. Maybe they'll get there. I don't know. And that's nothing against Steel Chambers, who has proven more, I think, than Curtis Grant did back then. So it's hard to take it. But if you just have a young guy who's got something, I don't know, man. But like I've been having that conversation since like the third practice of spring, and it doesn't feel like Jim Knowles has gone along with it at all.
Yeah, we'll see. I think there's a world where he and Steele can play together. I've just always pushed back on that he should play all the snaps and Steele shouldn't play at all. But I think my preference will be that they find a way to coexist that position.
Yeah, I like coexisting. Okay. Am I going to do this? I'm going to do this even if I don't mean it. I'm going to take Braxton Miller and play him in the slot because he did not play quarterback from 2014 on. So I think it would be like disingenuous to say I'm taking Braxton Miller as the backup quarterback. And I didn't love Braxton in the slot. I loved him as a dynamic football player. I thought they did him and the entire team a disservice with the way they tried to get him the ball and not get him the ball, and they couldn't figure out how to do it naturally. I still wonder to this day what it might have looked like if he could have taken a shot in the NFL as a quarterback, because I think his unbelievable talent as a quarterback is a different deal. But then when you put him at slot receiver, it's like a lot of slot receivers are fast and nimble. And he had not played the position. He didn't have the lifetime of running routes and catching passes. So I wasn't shocked that it didn't work out better in the NFL. And I understand why he had to move, but and I don't want to take anything away from like an NFL MVP and what Lamar Jackson has done. But when you see just the way the quarterback position has evolved in the NFL, from Lamar Jackson to Kyler Murray to Josh Allen to Anthony Richardson to Will Levis to guys who get a shot without being 1,000% finely tuned passers, but guys who can throw it good enough and are extraordinary athletes, there's a part of me that is always going to wonder what Braxton Miller, NFL quarterback, might have looked like.
Yeah, me too. I didn't consider him because I thought the move from quarterback was disastrous, but if we were including the 2013 season, he would have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah, so I'll rank. I mean, we're gonna run a little wild Brax back there. Put him in a shotgun a little bit. Let him do some stuff.
Okay.
Maybe red zone. Oh, you can take Tate, by the way. You can take.
I am not going to take Tate. If anyone was waiting for me to take Tate Martell,
that's not.
You can turn off the show. That's not going to happen.
I am. We should have just had an absolute wild card spot, and like you could have taken Tate, and I could have taken Eric Glover Williams, and we just would have been fine. Yeah. Demario McCall. It would have been. We're just all good. Yeah. But we might do a little red zone package behind CJ with Braxton, even though he's technically a slot receiver.
Yeah. Okay, back to me. I'm going to get the band back together and pair Jeremy Ruckert with Luke Farrell.
Look at you. They're so happy.
Yeah.
Is that who would you wowed a little bit when I took Cade Stover's first tight end? Who would you have taken as first tight end?
I guess taking him first is admitting that you think he's the best. I was hearing the words Cade Stover is the best tight end that Ohio State's had in the last decade. Landed a little weird, but I think you're right. I think I would have taken Farrell, but it was close, and I ended up getting Farrell. So
okay, All right, I'm gonna take my last defensive end, and I'm honestly between. I think these are the last two guys I had on the list: Zach Harrison or Tyreek Smith. I'll take Zach Harrison for length of 4 years of doing it.
Okay.
Is that?
Okay. I'm just surprised.
I mean, what can we get 20 seconds on your evaluation of Zach Harrison, NFL 3rd round pick and 4-year contributor? His evaluation?
That's not what I'm surprised by. Can I make my next pick and then tell you what I'm surprised by?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to move Jalen Holmes to defensive tackle, and then I'm going to take Kenyatta Jackson.
Oh, okay. No. So now this is just an absolute Sonny Styles death spiral. You're mad that I took Sonny Styles, and so now you have taken Malik Hartford, CJ Hicks, and Kenyatta Jackson, who have a combined 3 snaps on defense at Ohio State.
Yeah.
And you're like, I think they're one of the best 90 players of the decade.
I think they will be by the time they're done, which is something we were to take into consideration.
But it's kind of like of the decade, like now, like a little bit, right? I mean, like, so I'm not disagreeing, but
yeah.
Now you made me sad about Kenyatta Jackson. Now we're both sad. Great.
No, I like
wonderful nonsense fun. Hey, let's get ready for the season and have a good time. We're both sad.
If I was being perhaps a bit more serious about it, I think Zach Harrison is a good pick. Zach Harrison was a good defensive end here. I think just ended up not being quite as flexible maybe as some people thought he would be, which is like what truly unlocks, I think, elite pass rushing statistics. But he was an excellent run defender and very strong and very fast and a good defensive lineman.
Okay. Kenyatta Jackson. Okay. Is Ty Hamilton still available, defensive tackle?
He sure is.
And so I will prevent you from pairing the Hamilton brothers.
I thought about it.
Yeah.
I did think about it.
Is he the right pick? So that's filled out my defensive line. That's the other guy I thought about. And this was another difficult one, was Haskell Garrett.
He was an All-American.
He was an All-American, but again, like I actually don't think that was right.
Right.
Like and then he didn't get drafted. And so it's not that he's not a good player, but if it's like, well, why did you take Ty Hamilton instead of Haskell Garrett when Haskell Garrett was All-American? It's like it was COVID and people didn't know how to vote. And it's not that he wasn't good.
Yeah. I think it's the right pick. I think he could have taken Haskell Garrett. I think Jayshon Cornell maybe is in that conversation, or if you wanted to like bank on Tyleik Williams breaking out or something like that this year, maybe you could have done that too.
All right, pick to you.
So I am done on the defensive line. I will take Steel Chambers because I need another linebacker. So go ahead and give me Steel.
Okay. I need another corner. Draft the 90 guys. Everyone says, oh, it's so easy to draft 90 guys. And it's like, how about you try to do it and keep all your sheets straight? Maybe I won't take a corner because I can't find my corner sheet.
Corners who have not been taken as Kendall Sheffield and Damon Arnett or anyone on the current team.
Oh, okay.
Besides Denzel Burke. So you can take Jordan Hancock.
I'll take Jordan Hancock.
Yeah.
And again, I don't feel terrible about projecting Jordan Hancock because of what the coaches said about him last year before he got hurt.
That could end up being tremendous value when we look back at this draft to get him at this stage of the game. Because he's going to lead a team in interceptions, right?
Like, whatever the daily double would be of Kenyatta Jackson leads in sacks and Jordan Hancock leads in interceptions, I'd slam at least a $5 on that.
Oh, that's a big bet for you.
It is.
Yeah, that's a huge bet for you.
Anything over 2 is big money.
You might as well bet the mortgage at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take JT Barrett.
Oh, for your locker room. So let's have this conversation because Justin Fields, CJ Stroud are the first 2 quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Dwayne Haskins, JT Barrett, Cardale Jones conversation. Is it a conversation in your mind?
Yeah, definitely. And there have probably been times where I've been on the other side of this conversation. I think I've just like watching, and this is I want to say this the right way because like CJ Stroud was awesome. I found myself throughout his tenure wanting more playmaking. We finally saw it against Georgia, but then I think like watching him for 2 years just like sort of made me appreciate how much I value that trait in a quarterback. And JT Barrett is not even the same stratosphere as a passer as CJ Stroud or Dwayne Haskins. But if like I had to get like a fourth and medium in the Peach Bowl or the national championship, I think the first two guys I would pick are Justin Fields and JT Barrett.
It's hard because it's like a running quarterback conversation, right? I mean, it comes down to like not just running, but it's like, would you take Peyton Manning in that situation? So it's hard. I don't disagree, and I understand evaluating quarterbacks that way. But there are also times when you can go back and watch a full game of JT Barrett throwing the ball in that offense at times and be like, wow.
Yep.
That was a grind.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think it was. But I also think, too, you can go back and watch, like, Dwayne Haskins against Purdue and think to yourself, like, this guy's awesome. They need something different right now to, like, break through and score the touchdowns they need to score to win this game.
I told you could take Tate. You take Dwayne, and then you take Tate.
No, but, like,
I'll give you to him as a package.
Tate was, like, a dysfunctional thrower of the football, it turns out. Like, JT could spin it a little bit. Like, the highs of JT as a passer were quite good.
Yeah.
He was just erratic.
What do I have? A weenie arm? What, top 10 moments. 18 years on the beat.
That's right.
Loved it. Were you there? You were there weenie arm night,
I was there
right?
for weenie arm night. Yeah, that was back in the day when they did not have interviews at tables. We all just stood around people.
Yeah.
So JT was in a mass of 45 people talking about weenie arms.
Yeah. Hey, JT Barrett, who will go on to be the all-time leading passer in Ohio State history. Why can't you throw? It was like the one. I think it's the angriest. So people don't know. Was it in 17? Right? Was it kind of around the little bit of the discussion of, hey, should Dwayne Haskins take this guy's job? And I don't even want to say that it was when it bubbled over, because it didn't bubble over. But like for JT, who was just like the calmest, coolest, nicest dude around, I think it was the one time I saw him get kind of mad because he was pushing back against the idea of like Dwayne can throw and you can't.
Yeah, I think it must have been like later in that year, and it might have been after the Penn State game. Or maybe it was in 16. I don't know. Maybe it was in 16. But yeah, that was JT clearly had a little bit of an edge to him, but that was like one of the few times it actually came out in the words he was saying to the media.
Yeah. So, and like it wasn't invalid. Like he had a right to be mad in that moment, probably. So weenie arm will go down in history. Okay. I'll just take Dwayne Haskins.
Okay.
At quarterback and feel good about it. So you're a little more mobile and I'm a little more in the pocket. You have Justin and JT. I have CJ and Dwayne, but that's why I have Braxton Miller, red zone quarterback.
That's right. So now I'm torn on what to do because you made fun of me for picking guys who haven't played yet. But
no. It's okay.
Okay. Are we sure?
I won't make fun anymore.
Okay.
Who do you want to take? Go ahead and take Brandon Inniss. It's okay.
No.
Take Brandon Inniss over an Ohio State receiver with 1,700 receiving yards.
I'm good at receiver. That's not that I want to do. I need another offensive lineman. And maybe I should just take him. All right. He was a starting tackle for like 3 years. I'm going to put Brandon Bowen at guard and then take Isaiah Prince.
I can't believe you did it.
Well,
is that what I made you do? Because if you want to take Josh Fryer, take Josh Fryer.
No, I wanted to take Luke Montgomery.
Oh, no, that I would have made fun of.
No.
You can't we did the podcast of the Buckeye you believe in the most, and you're like, can I take his backup? No, I thought you could have taken Fryer or Josh Simmons. I literally thought one of your principles for this draft was anyone but Isaiah Prince.
It was. I was a panic pick. All right, it was a panic pick.
But I also was going to take him. I was going to take him next probably because there's no other tackles. It's one of these things, right? You got to play multiple tackle. You got to play multiple years at tackle a lot of times here. There's just not a ton of guys available at tackle.
There aren't. That actually played. There aren't any left now.
Well, there's two.
Oh, right. Yes.
1 year starters.
Yes.
Two 1 year starters.
Chase Farris, terrible. Yeah.
And so, but that's like here I am, like, I'm like, oh, you can't be putting in like lower ranked guys who never played before. So it's like they already did what Josh is hoping to do here.
So I will go ahead and take Darrell Baldwin.
Okay.
And he's my second backup tackle.
All right. I need to fill out safety, so I will take Damon Webb.
Damon Webb. Okay, we're still waiting on your punter. I still have to take a guard. I think this would be the next guard up. You know what? It's between two guys. Brandon Bowen's gone. Demetrius Knox is still available, right?
He is. Yep.
And Harry Miller's available.
Harry Miller is available. Yep.
Kind of a coin flip there. I mean, like, we never got to see the best of Harry because he played as a young guy, and then see what was going to come. And then obviously he chose to step away from football.
I would still probably say that what we saw of Harry was better than what we saw of Demetrius.
All right, I'll take Harry Miller as my second backup guard, along with Michael Jordan's my other backup guard. Okay.
So I need a backup. I need another running back. I need a backup center, and I need my punter. So, and I don't think I'm fighting you for any of those. So I'll just do them in order here. I'll do Mayan Williams.
Mayan Williams. So this is a conversation. We can go a little bit here. This is a conversation that could include Mike Weber. It could include Master Teague. It could include Trey Sermon.
Yep.
Mayan Williams over Trey Sermon, karate master, 300-yard rusher.
And Philadelphia Eagles legend. Yeah.
Released, by the way.
Released, yeah. Well, listen, we'll never forget those preseason games. Yeah, mine's good. Mine is a good running back. We don't talk about enough of like how good he actually is.
Draft pick. That's what, like 2 years ago, somebody was like, he's a draft pick.
Yep.
And I was like, what? You think he's a draft pick?
I think he's a draft pick, yeah.
Okay. I need to take a safety. And did I lose track? I have 2 picks left to make, and I can't figure out what the other spot is.
You need a tight end and a safety.
End. Oh, right. I wrote Ruckert down. You took Ruckert.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to take a safety, but I think I lost my help. I lost my safety sheet. I lost my safety and cornerback sheet.
The only safety I have on my list that hasn't been picked is Ronnie Hickman.
Okay. Or who's can I take Caleb Downs after he transfers from Bama to Ohio State in 2 years and the career he will have here, or KJ Bolden? They plant the seeds in recruiting.
That's right.
And wait for them to pay off. Okay, I'll take Ronnie Hickman.
Okay.
My last safety.
I need a backup center, Jacoby Bourne.
Look at you. And like, are all the centers over Carson Hinsman? If you want to take one more guy who didn't play, but everybody else who played center is gone.
Is gone. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that leaves me with a tight end. So I'm choosing between Hireman, Vinette, and Ball. Right?
Yes.
I'll take Jeff Hireman.
Unless you want to take Jelani Thurman.
Oh, man. No, you're going to take Jelani Thurman. I'll take Jeff Hireman. Again, the author of... I set him up for this. You know that the Jeff Hireman quote. When I asked Jeff Hireman,
college, yeah.
Do you feel like you maximize the college experience? And he was like, "Oh yeah." So
I never believed anybody more than I did in that moment.
Yeah. He was in a lot of extracurricular clubs.
Yeah.
So okay, that's my. I'll wrap it up with Jeff Hireman. Last pick to you, your punter,
Drew Chrisman.
Yeah. Also just released. Lost the punter job to the Michigan guy.
He was a very good college punter. Got overshadowed because he replaced the legend Cam Johnson, but he was a good punter. And
overshadowed by his own bottle flipping.
Yeah, that's
I would say.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we just ran through 90 picks. Let's run through them again one more time. We're not going to
all 90 in a row.
Great podcasting. Submit that for an award. So that 90, did it tell us anything about the team this year? Because I think you and I both believe that the 2023 Ohio State Buckeyes are talented, but we did not take a boatload of them super high in this draft.
Yeah, well, I guess think about who they're being compared to, and it's mostly like the team that won the national championship and had like more than a dozen draft picks come out of that team, high draft picks. So it's not surprising to me that we didn't take the whole roster for 2022, but like Marv went very high. Travion Henderson went. Emeka Ibuka went. Donovan Jackson went. JT Tuimoloau went. Mike Hall went. Like Sonny Styles. Like there are guys that really like almost every position group kind of outside of quarterback that were drafted here. And some of them fairly high. So I think I would take that as a sign that this team is like at least on par talent wise where it needs to be as good as some of the best teams we've seen here over the last decade, and in a lot of cases probably better.
And Marv lasted until pick 13 because of all the depth at receiver. If we were just straight up doing best Buckeyes of the decade, so we will run through this. These are the 12 guys who went ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. Ezekiel Elliott, Malik Hooker, Chase Young, Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, Justin Fields, Marshawn Lattimore, Paris Johnson, Taylor Decker, Denzel Ward, Draymond Jones, and Darren Lee. If we're doing straight up, when you take into account what we expect Marv to be in 2023, I think he's top 5.
Yeah, I think he's definitely top 5.
And I think it might be like a Zeke, the 3 edge guys, and Marv.
Yes.
Bosa, Young.
Yep.
And those are the 5 best Buckeyes of the decade. So, but I also think it was reasonable for him to land where he landed in this draft with the strategy and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like some of the positions we just had to take earlier because of the depth at receiver. Yeah.
Are there occasions when you do an exercise like this and you get done and you think to yourself, my gosh, the football team I cover has a lot of good players?
Yeah, it's nice to put that in perspective sometimes. I mean, you go out there and watch them every week, you know they're talented, but like we've gotten to watch a lot of very good football players over the last decade covering this team. It's pretty insane.
I mean, there are teams where it's like Pete Werner in this exercise would have been like the 4th pick.
Yeah.
And he was the 41st pick.
Yeah.
Right. So J.K. Dobbins is the 20th pick. He ran for 2,000 yards. So that's what we're doing. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We hope you guys shouted at your phone or at the radio or at your screen as you disagreed with that. It's a good reminder. We wanted to just relax a little bit. And when we come back, we're going to relax even more with Whatcha Watchin. 90 picks, Landis. 90 picks. My brain is fried. Whatcha Watchin? What you eating? What you thinking? Next on Kings of Columbus. All right, the mega draft is over. We appreciate you guys watching on YouTube, listening wherever you find podcasts, and we know you're listening to everything in the feed here at the podcast. Reminder, post-game show right after Ohio State, Indiana on Saturday. Landis and I will be here. We hope you will join us then. Reminder, we're starting a tech subscription service. We will keep you posted. We'll explain it even more as we get to it, but we're going to send texts. They're going to go straight into your phone. We're going to send surveys. It's going to be a way to ask us questions for the podcast. It's going to create a community. It's going to create a loop. It's going to be me, Landis, Berm, Austin, everybody giving you our insights straight into your phone. It's going to cost a little money, but we hope there's good value there. And we just have a bunch of stuff happening in this feed. And Kings of the North is still like growing. So Landis, you and I are going to do a Monday show during the season in this feed that will be a Kings of Columbus show, but also is kind of going to be like a Kings of the North show where we're really going to lean into all the best teams in Northern football.
Yeah, we're going to do our rankings. We're going to do our Knights of the North, which people were so kind to suggest as a name when we haven't come up with one. So that'll be Monday. We'll still talk about Ohio State, but we're going to give you like a little Michigan, a little Penn State, a little maybe Washington, depending on what happens that weekend. So I'm excited for that one. We'll still have the beefy Ohio State discussion midweek on Kings of Columbus as well, so that's not going anywhere, but trying to expand your horizons a little bit.
Yeah. And we're also going to do a Ferentz show.
The Brian, yeah.
We don't have an official name for it, and it might be in a different feed. It's going to be short, but we're going to do like a 15-minute show each week on whether Iowa scored 25 points or not, and whether Brian Ferentz is on track or not on track to keep his job. And Cade McNamara, the Iowa starting quarterback, is questionable for their opener. So already it's not going well.
Yeah, Brian. So Brian Ferentz is questionable for 2024.
Yeah. So I think we'll have a good time. Let's do What You Watchin, What You Eatin, What You Thinkin. Landis, what are you watching?
So I think I didn't have a great one for this, and this might combine sort of what you watch and what you're thinking into one thing, and it is college football centric. Watching the games this past weekend, like the new rule where the clock doesn't stop after a first down unless it's within the final 2 minutes of each half. I really did feel like as I was watching the games, it made them quicker, which I appreciated. But the overall viewing experience was just as long because of the greedy television executives just, slapping more commercials in there, which I found incredibly annoying. I thought we were going like if I'm trading off, the trade-off is less football because teams are running fewer plays now. Ryan Day said they had people charted, it was like 63 plays per game over this first weekend, which is a low number, especially for a team like Ohio State. If I'm giving up less football, then I don't want to be hit over the head with more commercials. I want the entire viewing experience to be shorter. I don't want you to fill the gaps with more commercials for stuff I don't care about. So I found that annoying.
Because they didn't change the slot. They didn't change that on your TV. It doesn't say now, oh, the Ohio State game is going to take 15 minutes less.
Yeah,
does it? Right.
It does not. No, it's going to take still the 3.5, 4 hours it normally takes. You're just getting less football during that span than you were before.
Yeah, no, we can track that and we'll rip people and ask about it. Like, why? What's the end game here? Now, part of the end game is wear and tear on players and I know Ryan Day talked about that. I think like ideally, if you take like 10 or 12 plays out of every game, by the end of the year, you've played like one less game.
Yeah.
In a world where in a 12-team playoff, you're potentially going to play 2 or 3 more games. So I guess that trade-off is understandable, Landis. But
yeah, no problem with the rule itself. Yeah.
But commercials, who loves commercials? All right, greedy networks. Also, so my watching is the Big Ten sent out a tweet about this week. I think there's 11 games involving Big Ten teams to open the season because there's a couple against each other, right? There's a Thursday night, Nebraska, Minnesota. Ohio State's playing Indiana. So there's 11 games. They're on 6 different networks or streaming services. So it's Fox, FS1, NBC, Peacock, CBS, and the Big Ten Network. And as far as the thing they sent out, Fox is not even doing a Big Ten game on Saturday. They're doing the Thursday game, but they're not actually. So it's like,
hey, Fox is Colorado TCU. Yeah.
So I get it, and it's a reminder, and we knew that. I did this announcer show from Big Ten Media Days. We knew that this is the new world of CBS and Fox and NBC as major networks all having a hand in this, and we know the Big Ten Network's going to be part of it. But when you throw in the secondary Fox network and you throw in the NBC streaming service, it's just a reminder that it's pretty weird. And you just, hey, Siri, show me all the Big Ten football games. I don't care what network they're on. Like, it makes you want to get to that.
Yeah, I think at least the good thing about what you just laid out is that 5 of the 6 should all be in your whatever service you use, cable or streaming or otherwise.
Almost everybody gets FS1, right? Is that
is
FS1 normal?
Yeah, I think that is normal. It's when and maybe this maybe applies to more like people like us who like actually need to watch a lot of games. Like you just care about what channel the Ohio State game's on. You're going to be able to find it easily, I think, more often than not. If you're a person who likes to partake of a few different games, I do think it's going to become increasingly difficult because there's going to be weeks where all those channels are in play. Peacock is in play. Paramount Plus is in play. Probably down the road, like Apple TV, I'm sure will get involved. Amazon will get involved. So you're gonna go from paying for one service, cable or a streaming service, which by the way, streaming services are basically as much as cable now anyway. And now you're gonna have to add on like 6 different streaming services on top of that just to keep track of your own team.
So I have YouTube TV as my main thing, and then I have Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Max, and Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I have to get
Sling.
Peacock
I
have to get Peacock if I want to watch Michigan this week, which I do. So now I have to get Peacock and YouTube TV. You can't get the Pac-12 network, which we want to now watch for our Kings of the North. So I had to get Sling to get the Pac-12 network. So that does make me feel like a crazy person.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, well, what should I drop? Like Amazon Prime, it's like, if you want the free shipping, you get the network free, right?
Right.
And then it's like, of course I'm going to get Disney. And then HBO, I don't know. They still have Curb Your Enthusiasm, like reruns on there.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it make you feel like a crazy person sometimes?
Yeah, it does. Thankfully, we have some hookups where I have all those you mentioned, and then some more, but we're not paying for all of them. Which, by the way, I'll hook you up on the Peacock login. Hopefully, NBC's not listening.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to keep track of, and I don't. It's probably maybe like first world problems, right? I don't. But I don't like everyone's dealing with it. Like
Yeah.
you have one show on each thing you want to watch. You got to pay for them all, and then all of a sudden, your bill to watch the things you want to watch is now like $300.
Right. We're free, by the way.
Yeah,
Here on
we
YouTube,
sure
we're
are.
free.
Yep.
All right. What are you eating?
So I wanted to actually talk about this a couple weeks ago, and I chose something else instead, I guess. But at that time, I had just had a dinner with our buddy Ari Wasserman and Max Olson, who was also a writer for The Athletic. They were both in town. We went out in Short North, and we got an appetizer of like Reuben egg rolls. So like the stuff you would get in a Reuben corned beef, sauerkraut, whatever, Thousand Island dressing in an egg roll wonton wrapper. It was delicious. And then this past weekend, I was home in Philadelphia, and I had cheesesteak egg rolls at a bar in South Philly, Callahan's 26 and South. Check them out. It's a good spot. If you're ever in Philadelphia. And those were excellent. Like it wasn't, I'm just going to go buy cheesesteak egg rolls at Trader Joe's and pour them in a fryer. Like this guy cooked the cheesesteak and then wrapped them himself and then fried them himself. So it was like, you could taste the difference there, but it looked like I have not given enough credit, I guess, to how good of a food vessel an egg roll, a wonton wrapper is. It's excellent.
Food is like 66% vessels, honestly, because every culture has meat in dough.
Yep.
And so you get judged on your dough. So this is really high praise from someone like you who values bread so much that you are tipping the cap to the egg roll.
Yeah, I don't do stuff like that lightly. It's quite good. It's because it's not it's sturdy enough to hold whatever you need it to hold. It doesn't have a ton of flavor, but it's still like it's not intrusive on the other flavors, if that makes sense. Like it really strikes a nice balance there.
And this is just maybe a signal. It's like we didn't talk about this beforehand, but that we're on the same wavelength sometimes. Is part of the issue with the egg roll, right? It's a good size of an egg roll, and everything in there is like jammed in there, right? Because my eating is how important it is. I got a wrap. There's a wrap place that I go to on most Tuesdays after Ohio State interviews that I think I'll treat myself. It's not near my house, but it's kind of over that way.
Okay.
And so I go and I get a wrap. And the thing I like about this wrap place is they wrap a tight wrap.
Yeah, need it.
And wrapping your wrap tight is so important. And so maybe that's part of the egg roll enjoyment. It's like, man, everything's in there and it's all squeezed together. But man, these people, I don't even know. They might put it in a vise. I don't know how you get the wrap that tight. But yes, of course, the ingredients matter. But listen, man, I'm just getting some chicken and vegetables. I mean, it's not rocket science. But the tightness of the wrap makes all the difference, especially while I'm driving. Because then I eat it while I'm driving home. Nothing's falling out. But I also feel like it tastes better when it's wrapped tightly.
It absolutely does. I think that is key. And then also making sure you've spread out the ingredients throughout the wrap is key. I don't want like one bite that's all lettuce and then one bite that's all chicken and then one bite that's all whatever your condiment of choice is. Chipotle.
No, I know. And I actually had a nice tight wrap at Piata the other day, but also Piata's can get stuck in that too. It's like all the spaghetti's on one side and all the lettuce is on the other side. I think at Chipotle, you can ask them to like mix it together. But why don't they do it automatically? Because who wants their burrito like divvied up into sections? You want an open floor plan. You want everything melded together. And then that tight, but also sometimes at Chipotle, you don't get a tight wrap because you can tell when they're doing it. Sometimes you get too much stuff and they can't wrap it tight. And then you get it and it just falls apart. It's like, this exercise is not worth it.
Yeah. You know, it's going to be a disaster the second you open the tinfoil. Yeah.
Do you ever do that? Like they're wrapping it and you just go,
yeah. I haven't been in a while, but yes, I've had that experience.
This is not going to go.
Can we shout out the wrap place, or do you not want people to know your spot?
Yeah. It's called Be Fit, BEFIT, but I like to call it BeFit.
BeFit.
And there used to be one near my house, but it closed because I felt bad that I didn't go enough. So now I try to go to the BeFit over there as much as I can. All right, what are you thinking about?
Mostly what I said in watching, but I feel like thinking might turn into me just asking you for like fatherly advice.
Oh.
But and this is not serious, but I want your opinion on this. So I'm from Philadelphia. My wife is from Pittsburgh. We need to decide which sports teams our child will one day show allegiances to. And I think for most, I won't care. Like if he wants to be a Steelers fan, I think I'd be okay with that. I grew up like kind of liking the Steelers too, in addition to the Eagles. That's fine. The only thing I care about is him not becoming a Penguins fan. Hockey, Pittsburgh Penguins, for anybody who doesn't know. I'm a huge Flyers fan, despise the only like hatred I harbor for another sports team. I've really like lessened in my fandom for a lot of things. I think just as I've gotten older, I've gotten less passionate about it. But I will always hate the Pittsburgh Penguins. Just despise them. And I don't want him to become a Penguins fan. She does not want him to become a Flyers fan. And I've offered up the compromise of him just becoming a Blue Jackets fan. But should I instead stand on principle and make sure I turn him into a Flyers fan?
So how did you become a fan of Philadelphia sports?
It's just where I grew up.
And how did Leah become a fan of Pittsburgh sports?
It's where she grew up.
Okay. So I am very much in favor of allowing your child to be the fan of the team down the street. So my answer to all this might be Blue Jackets, pick between the Browns and the Bengals, pick between the Reds and the Guardians and the Cavs, because that's what you guys did.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And that's what a lot of his friends presumably will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I will say, so my father was from Boston, the Boston area. So he was like a Red Sox Celtics fan growing up. But then I grew up in closer to Philadelphia than any other sports town. So I was a fan of all the Philadelphia sports. And then my dad, back in that area, you couldn't watch stuff out of. So he never lost his allegiance, but he then, watched the team down the road, right? So he never lost it, but he didn't try to get me to be a Boston fan. He let me be a fan of the team down the road. But then I always knew that was his team and appreciated that. And then like in 2004, when the Red Sox made the World Series, I was able to get tickets for that. And I took my dad to Fenway Park for the World Series. It's like one of the great things ever because like I could share that with him. It wasn't my team, but it was his team. So I do think if you allow your child to find their own way as a fan, then he can appreciate your teams and you can appreciate his teams and you can all kind of share that, but you all kind of have your own thing. The other side of this is there are numerous people listening to this who love the Buckeyes because their parents love the Buckeyes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they got to it. They didn't grow up in Ohio. And that created a huge, strong bond for them. But I do think for you guys, since you're split anyway, the answer might be Ohio teams.
Yeah. I think I'm mostly okay with, just let him find his own way, wherever that leads him. Unless it's the Penguins. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's split. It's like you're going to have to sit him down and be like, okay, it can't be the Penguins, but like pick between football teams. And that's how he becomes like an Eagles, Pirates, Sixers fan, right? Then it's like, I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my last thing. I do this to make myself have little moments during the day. You know how like you wind up signing up for weird things sometimes that you don't really want to sign up for? I signed up one time. It's like my kids were doing it. It's like, what Harry Potter house are you?
Mm-hmm.
But when you did it, you had to put in your email. I assume it's Chinese or Russian people like stealing my information.
Right.
But you had to put in your email and your name, right? So, but when I put in my name, I put in my real email. But for my name, I put in Farts McGee. So like once a month, I get an email from the Harry Potter fan club. And it says, I have two right here. One says, put your spell casting to the test, Farts. And then I have another one that says, birthday post for Farts. And it just makes me smile. So my advice is, and sometimes I do this at the grocery store. I wonder if I could go to jail for this. Like when you do have to sign for your credit card, right? And it's like, I got to sign for a credit card. But like, who reads that?
Yeah.
Like when you're digitally signing for a credit card, sometimes I just sign Farts McGee instead of my actual name. And like wondering like if someday someone's going to be like, your identity's been stolen by someone named Farts McGee. But I would almost welcome that call.
Yeah.
So every now and then when you're signing up for something that doesn't matter, sign up under a ridiculous name that then when you get the annoying email from the thing that you don't want, it at least makes you smile because they call you Farts.
What house was Farts McGee?
Slytherin.
Slytherin, yeah, gotta be.
I mean, come on. I mean, I might go by Farts McGee, but I'm still who I am, right? And also, Farts McGee is not going to be Hufflepeffer or whatever that is.
Hufflepuff.
Hufflepeffer. Now that Farts McGee, he's a real Hufflepeffer. Okay, that's it for this edition of Kings of Columbus. We will expect to see you. We hope to see you. No expectations with this show. Post-game Saturday. That's where we really want to see you. We want to see how this thing goes. It's something new and exciting, and I think it'll serve Ohio State fans, which is why we are here. We want to thank everybody who came out to our live show. I know guys have talked about it. Monday night live show at Land Grant Brewing. We had a really good time. We hope to do more things like that in the future and hope to see even more of you guys out there, but so grateful for anybody who showed up. More content coming this week. We're just going to keep adding stuff. You will find something you like in this channel. You might not like an hour and 50-minute podcast. You might not like a 15-minute podcast, but you'll find something because we offer it all. And we're going to keep doing that all season. A super exciting season ahead. We are glad that you guys are along for the ride. For Bill Landis, I'm Doug Lesmerises, and that was Kings of Columbus.